Okay, welcome to the Bennett kitchen this morning. We are making pancakes, and Creamy is being really loud. What are you being loud about, Creamy? He just wants to be loud and proud and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so we've got our dry ingredients all mixed together here. We've got the flour, we've got the baking powder, we've got the salt. Mix those all together. I'm making the recipe is 3 times, basically I'm multiplying the recipe 3 times. And over here we've got our eggs, a little bit of oil, and milk. Recipe calls, when you triple the recipe, it would call for 3 eggs. I actually use 4, because eggs are a binder. I like it to stick together a little better. So we're going to take this here, we're going to dump it in there. Doing all this with one hand, because I can. Okay, and then we're going to give this a mix. So you can just dump everything in together. You don't have to keep your liquids and solids, the dry ingredients separately. But sometimes there's a reason for that. And recently I experimented, made some pancakes where everything went into a mixer. Not a mixer, a blender. Just blended it all up, and it worked. You know, it worked. But I think this works better. My batter's a little thinner than I normally like it. I think because I measured out my flour too accurately. Usually I just put the scoop in the thing, scoop it up where you get some compaction of the flour, and so there was really a little more. This time I actually took a spoon, went into the bag, and dillied it out. So that's the more accurate way to do it. But because of that, I think my batter's a little thinner than it should be. And here's my cats. Sometimes they fight, they play, who knows what they're doing. Okay, guys. Oh, boy. Sometimes it's clear they're having fun with each other, and sometimes it's not. Anyway, so what I did, I put a couple of heaping teaspoons of flour on there. I'm going to mix that in, give my batter a little more body. I don't want to say it's dangerous to do this, but sometimes you really negate the effect of the baking powder. The baking powder is what creates all the little bubbles and makes it light and airy. And when you go back and you beat it again, you beat out a lot of those little bubbles. Now you can see there's still some in there, so hopefully I didn't do too much damage. And we'll go to making the pancakes. So this is my pan. This is actually a crepe pan. This is a steel pan. It's not cast iron. It's not stainless steel. It's, I think you call it high carbon steel. Maybe it's low carbon steel. I don't know. But it's one of those that, seasons, you got to season it. Doesn't have to be as perfect as with cast iron. And what I'm going to do is to put a little more oil on it. If I can find, I thought I had a little can of spray oil. Looks like I don't. So what I do when I don't have my little spray bottle, I'll take a little cup, put some oil in it, get one of these little thingies that are silicone, and I'll kind of dress up the pan there, get it nice and slick, and then just periodically in between every couple of pancakes I can throw some more in there. Now what I'm doing as well, I'm letting that heat up, and while that heats up, get my little bowl of mini chocolate chips. I like the minis for pancakes. Well, I just like the minis for pancakes, so that's what we're doing. And we're going to make chocolate chip pancakes. So let's flick some water there on the surface. Your pan should be hot enough to where when you flick water on it, it really sizzles. So that tells me the pan's not hot enough yet, so we're going to wait just a minute to let the pan get hot. So we're going to flick a little more water on there. Okay, it's sizzling, it's popping a little bit. I'm going to give it just a little more time before I throw on the first pancake. Okay, so I've got my pancake. I'm using a 1/2 cup scoop. And we're just going to pour that out right there in the middle. That's going to make a nice big pancake. Going to get all the batter out of there. And we're going to go over here to the chips. We're going to add them in. What I don't do is I don't mix the chips in with the batter, because what happens is they all fall to the bottom, and then when you pour them out, they all kind of clump together, and of course we want them spread out a little more. So that's what I'm doing. Now there's any way to make pancakes. Like I said, you can mix your batter together in a blender. You can keep your dry and wet ingredients separate until you mix them together in the bowl. It's kind of like politics in a way. You can approach a problem and you can find all sorts of different solutions on how to fix the problem. Some are more practical, some are more ideological. The problem right now in America, one of the many problems, not the problem. Anybody who says the problem is missing the picture. There's not the problem. There's a bunch of problems. We've got lots of disinformation. We've got lots of misinformation, and we've got forces really trying to undermine democracy. It's like you're trying to make pancakes, but the people throwing the flour and the ingredients into the pan are like, it's not just that they're not measuring them, they're not using the right ingredients. It's like instead of flour, they're using, I don't know, what's another powdery substance? They're using powdered sugar. And they're saying this will bake up just fine. And of course, and it's still going to be a pancake. Well, it's not going to be a pancake. You need flour to make the pancake. So it's very disheartening for those of us who think American democracy is really the best system of government that the world has ever seen. I'm not one for American exceptionalism, saying that America is just the greatest country in the history of the world. We're a country. We've done good stuff, we've done bad stuff, but I think the genius of America, so to speak, is really in our Constitution, how our government is supposed to work with checks and balances. It has never been perfect. We've done some atrocious things, we've done some great things. But the key thing is just how our democracy is supposed to work. And I know some of you are out there going, it's not a democracy, it's a republic. Oh my goodness. Well, a republic is a type of democracy. Are we a pure democracy like in ancient Greece where everybody votes on every single thing? No, we're not. That's asinine. You would never get anything accomplished if you're trying to get 330 million people to vote on every darn little thing. That's stupid. We have a democratic republic where we have a representative democracy. And, right now it's really being how things are supposed to work. I don't want to say it's falling apart. It's just being run over fairly roughshod. It's supposed to be gotta watch the camera. It's supposed to be if Congress says, hey, we need to take care of this, and here's some money to do it, and we want you to create this agency to take care of this. The executive branch is supposed to execute that law. And that is not what is happening. Right now we see the executive branch trying to take apart all sorts of different parts of the government that the Congress has authorized and funded, and it's not the executive branch's role to do that. Now currently the Republicans have the House, they have the Senate, they have the judiciary, and they have a fair number of extremists in all those positions. So why don't they just do it the way it's supposed to be done and go to Congress and say, hey, Mr. Congress, Mrs. Congress person, Congress critter, we want to take apart the consumer product, I forget what it stands for, CPFB, or USAID or whatever. Just go to Congress and have them say, okay, yeah, that has outlived its usefulness, so you can kill that part of the government. That's not what they're doing. That's the law. That's what they should be doing. So by defunding these agencies, by firing all the people where they no longer quit, this is illegal action. It's pretty clear. It's not a gray area. It's not a thing that's really debatable. It's not supposed to be happening, and yet it is. And over again already, the courts are always a little bit behind, but over and over again already, we see the courts, stopping some of this action. But the question is, can they stop it in time? How much damage will be done, in the meantime? And the whole time, these things are happening, these folks are telling us we're still making pancakes. These pancakes are going to be good. They're going to be wonderful pancakes. And the things they're doing, that's not how you make pancakes. Maybe they're making, really, I don't know what they're making, because there are absolutely no plans verbalized on what comes next. It's just, let's destroy this, let's destroy that. For some things, they're saying, well, we'll roll this function into this other department. But there's, again, really no detail on how that's going to happen. Now, I've got my heat set here just a little over halfway. I'm going to turn that down just a tad. That one had bubbles coming up. You can see this side's nicely cooked, but I really would prefer that other side to be a little drier before I flipped it. So I'm just going to give that a little more, turn that temperature down to hopefully give that a little more time to cook on the next one before I have to flip it. So going back to politics, it's an interesting thing. Is this the end of America as we know it? It's very clear, as far as America's position in the world, that our allies at this point cannot trust America from one administration to another. There are reasons why, good reasons, why our foreign policy doesn't typically change a huge amount from administration to administration, because the world likes stability, and whoever the superpower is at a given time is the one that brings that stability to bear. And now we have shown, this administration is showing, this is going to be a radical departure from other administrations, so you can't trust us anymore. You saw this Canadian Prime Minister just yesterday, I believe, saying that our long history of being allies militarily, economically, all that kind of stuff is over. That is not something that countries do lightly. But the feckless way that this administration has complained about NATO, about Canada, Mexico, from comments about their militaries, comments about them being freeloaders, comments about the whole thing with tariffs and everything. It really is destroying other countries' ability to trust us. And that's very problematic. One of the things that I think that is interesting is you do hear a lot of countries in Europe talking about building up their militaries. And on one hand, maybe, hey, that's a good thing, because they're not going to be relying on us as much anymore. And that's, I mean, it's a kind of a blessing and a curse, because my general thought is, if lots of countries have very large militaries, sooner or later they're going to want to use them. And that's not a good thing. The other thing is, a lot of European countries buy a lot of stuff from our defense contractors, and they're already talking about, making sure that they're using European contractors because they can't trust America. Because if you're buying from American defense contractors, you're reliant on those contractors. And what if, again, a president comes into office who doesn't want those defense contractors to provide service, parts, technical know-how, all that kind of stuff. So that's bad for, again, it's bad for our foreign relations. It's also bad for American companies. So this idea that we are realigning ourselves now with Russia instead of Europe, which some people don't see that. I don't see President Trump doing that. Clearly, he's doing that. He's taken Russia off of the cybersecurity watch list. He agrees with Putin on most everything. He's, halting aid to Ukraine. There's not a lot more that the U.S. could be doing other than invading Ukraine itself to help Russia out. And I think we all know that this Putin guy, not a good guy. A lot of the Russian oligarchs who might step in after Putin, not good people. So it's really a strange set of bedfellows that we're making here. Already got 3 pancakes in. I'm going to take just a little more oil here, dab that off. Make sure we got some oil there. Take my handy scoop, go over here. Drop some more batter in the pan. Gotta love that sizzle. Get some more chalky chips. Droppy, droppy, droppy. Try to drop as close to the edge as I can without going over. I drop one right there, and that's gonna smoke a little. Anyway, okay. There we got them. So, going back to politics, it's I think the right wing of America, through Fox News, through Breitbart, through numerous channels, has pushed so many conspiracy theories for years, and so many people believe them or believe part of them, that we really don't have a basis of common truth anymore. Going back to the pancake analogy, I say I'm making pancakes, you say I'm making crepes. You say that extra egg makes it too eggy, so now it's a crepe instead of a pancake. We don't have this common basis for what reality is, and that's a huge problem when it comes to how you're going to govern, how you're going to vote, how you see different legislation, how you see what's happening in front of your very eyes. For me, I'm making pancakes. And I'll comment and speak up about how good American democracy is or could be even after we are a democracy no more. Which, if you think about it, we really aren't. At this point, we're an oligarchy. It was, I think, 2014, like 10 years ago, that Larry Lessig did his video on Lesterland. Go to YouTube and search up Lesterland, and you'll find Larry Lessig, who has this TED Talk. I know some people are going to go, a TED Talk, it's a bunch of liberal nonsense and blah, blah, blah. Just discount it immediately. But what he talks about there is the amount of money in our political system and how to be a candidate. You've got to win the election of money raising. And it's literally a handful of people in America who donate huge sums of money to specific candidates. The rest of us get to vote on those candidates, but we only get to vote for the people that the rich people pick. So that is kind of a representative oligarchy. And that's what we have. We really don't have democracy at this point. I think we've already lost that. We can regain it, but I don't think we have it currently. Anyway, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to finish my pancakes. Have a good day.